Welcome. My name is Catherine Baker, and I'm director of the UC Student Policy Center, and I'm delighted to have you here today to welcome you to the center. Thank you for reading the memo. We start promptly at noon today because our very special guest is time is extremely short, and we're very grateful for the time we're going to have with him. Before we get to that, very little audience participation. Please raise your hand if this is the first time you've come to our California Leaders Speaker Series at the center. Okay, we've got some freshmen. Very good. Well, we're happy to have you here. This speaker series is one of the many ways the university at this center creates a public square for great debate, great conversation. Mike is going weird on me again. And for a more intimate conversation with California leaders. So we hope to see you here at many events. I'm going to give you a highlight on some of those coming up. Mark your calendar. I've got 3 dates for you. Next Wednesday is the 14th of May, and we are partnering here at the center with Capital Weekly to host a conference on the insurance crisis. This will be a 3-panel conference and includes a keynote from Commissioner Ricardo Lara, our insurance commissioner. And so please join us for that. Lunch is included, and it's a great conversation here at the UC Student and Policy Center. Then the following week, we have, in partnership with the California Commission on API, the Asian Pacific Islander and Hawaiian Affairs, and I think their executive director is here. Khadija Alam, you can raise your hand and give a, right here in front of me. We are partnering, May is API Heritage Month, and so we're gonna have a terrific program on voter trends, voter conversations, voter data, with a particular focus on the upcoming gubernatorial election. And I'm sorry to say that, it's a 2026, and here it is only 2025, so it is happening, I have to mention it. That will be when the 19th of May on Monday, also during a lunch program. Please join us for that. And then you must get out your calendars and mark. One of the most signature events here at the center is the release of the Anderson Economic Forecast. For 70 years, the UCLA Anderson School has been doing this forecast. It's the premier independent analysis of California's economy. And this will be a half-day conference with a terrific panel program. I want to share with you some of the folks who will be joining us. We have a keynote from our California State Treasurer, Fiona Ma. We also have Gabriel Protect from the Legislative Analyst's Office. We also have Jennifer Barrera from Cal Chamber, Senator Roger Nilo, and also Joe Steppenshaw, Director of Department of Finance, and many other terrific speakers. Right after the May revise, right before the state budget. What a time to be talking about the Anderson Economic Forecast. So the next 3 Wednesdays, I hope to see you here at the center during those programs. Now, today's speakers or presenters include some very special guests. I know you're all here for Regent Leib, who is a UC Regent. He was appointed by Governor Brown in August of 2018 to be one of our Regent leaders. He has a background, a very great success in the private sector and business, but also has worked for members of Congress, state senators. He's been a local school board member, community college district, a great contribution to education. And the most important thing about Rich Leib is he's a gaucho. So thank you, Go Gauchos, as a mom of 2 gauchos. And then, of course, we have our very special guest, Pro Tem Mike McGuire. I'm sorry I'm going out of protocol. Mike, I had the pleasure of serving my time in the Assembly. I'm a civilian now, but my time in the Assembly overlapped with his first and second terms in the state Senate when you were but a lowly state senator. And you can certainly read his bio. A couple of things I'll mention about him. He does come from a rural community, a beautiful rural community part of California, and I know has been adding that voice to the Senate and leadership. And has worked hard his whole life, has worked full-time since you were 16. And son Connor, second most important name, his dog's name is Gertrude. So very important to know. But he's here today before he has so many other things to do, including heading over to Rules Committee. We have a hard stop at 12:45. And so with that, I'm just going to turn it over. We will have some time for Q&A, and I'll bring some microphones around. But for now, please welcome Pro Tem Mike McGuire.
Thank you very much. And before we start with the questions, I just want to say this is exactly what we envisioned this center to be doing. And we want to thank Catherine Baker for all the work she's doing and the staff here, as well as Donna Lucas. And we really appreciate being able to do things like this. This is exactly what we envisioned it to do. I want to say beforehand, I had a minute to talk to the Senate Pro Tem beforehand. I've known him for a while. But he is the only person I know in the room that can answer this question I asked him. I asked him the most biggest trivia question you can, which is what county is High and Palm, California in? Because I had a friend that lived there, and he knew it right off the bat, Trinity County. So there you go. So I want to welcome you. Thank you so much, Senator Pro Tem McGuire, for being here. And my first question to you is, just to break the ice, is what's your favorite thing about being Pro Tem?
Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Hey, there we go. It is an honor to be with each and every one of you, and I think we need to give a round of applause to Regent Leib, please, and say thank you for your commitment to California. I just want to say just a few thank yous, and that is to Catherine Baker. She is rare. She's been an incredibly successful lawmaker. She has grown this center from the ground up, and we are incredibly grateful for your hard work and your commitment to the people and the students of California. And I think that we can all agree the UC system has always been focused on a brighter future for all of California. And where else in the world can you enter in deep poverty and leave after 4, or in my case, 5 years, and be able to achieve a living wage job and buy a home and be able to achieve that California dream? And that's what the UC system represents. And I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be with you here today. And I just want to say thank you to Rich Leib. He is incredibly modest, but he has been a game changer for the Board of Regents. And he has led the way on innovation across the system. And just when you think it couldn't get any stronger, Rich Leib comes in with a 2x4 and makes sure it does. So I think we need to give him a round of applause, please, and say thank you so much. And the most important part of today is hearing from each and every one of you, which I'm super excited about to be able to have a conversation. So I'm going to do a little bit of a rock around, if it's all right, Mr. Leib. Is that cool? And then obviously we have a conversation. So I think the best thing, number one, about leading the California State Senate, and I don't mean to get a little emotional about it, but it is the best job that you can ever have, and it is the honor of a lifetime. I grew up with a single mom and my grandma. And my mom and dad had a pretty bad divorce when I was really young. My grandma literally came and got my mom and pulled her out of a very difficult situation with my dad when my dad left for work. And my grandma helped raise me. My mom suffers from pretty significant depression. She's very open about it. And I would go live with my grandma a couple weeks out of every month. And she taught me 3 things in life. You got to work hard. You got to be the hardest working person in the room. You got to work together. There are smarter folks than you out in the world. And candidly, I think that lesson we need now more than ever. It's not about party affiliation. We are Californians and Americans first. And the number 3, you can't take no for an answer for the issues that you believe in and the people you work for. And that has always stuck with me. So I have to say the best thing about leading the California Senate is, number 1, working and delivering for people. And we got a lot of work to do. We have to fight, obviously, a hostile federal administration. But what we can't forget is we have a lot to fix here in California, make us more affordable and livable. We can't take our eyes off of the prize and getting folks off the streets and into homes. We need to continue to build more housing, continue to grow our economy, to be able to help the campuses of the UC and the CSU system. I think the other great piece is being able to make a difference in people's lives. I'm the first person from the district that I represent, which runs from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Oregon border, in 147 years to be able to serve as a leader of the California State Senate. And what I also know is that highest rates of childhood poverty, highest rates of unsheltered homelessness, highest jobless numbers in the entire state of California, highest ACEs scores are in rural parts of California. And one of the reasons why we have Donald Trump as president is because Democrats have forgotten about rural America and rural California. And that has really stuck with me. And I think the best part of this job is making a difference. The largest non-prison investment in rural California in 50 years is expanding Humboldt State University into Cal Poly Humboldt. Over a $500 million investment, the largest non-prison investment in 50 years. Focusing on building hundreds of new units for those who are formerly homeless, focusing on building affordable housing, growing our economy in rural parts of California, and of course, making California more fire safe. And the last thing I'll just say is the best part is you get to work with folks every day who are among the smartest on the planet and who are most innovative in America. And I feel forever grateful. And again, I don't mean to get blubbery with you, but it is an absolute honor. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be able to work in the Senate each and every day.
I think that's great to have that kind of background, and we're really happy to have you as our Senate Pro Tem.
Yeah.
What do you think are the top 3 issues facing California right now? If you could put it down to 3. I know you touched on a few, but if you could talk about the 3 issues you think, and what are we going to do? What is the Senate doing about it?
Yeah, 100%. So let's get into it. And Mr. Leib is going to throw his chair at me because I don't know if I can keep it to 3. He just went, oh crap. Okay. So you ready to do a little bit of lightning round?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So number 1 is education. The best investment I think that this country can make, that this state can make, that our community can make is in our kids in strong public schools. I'm a public school kid. Rich Leib and I have something in common. We were not the best students. And in fact, when I graduated from high school, I was reading an English 355 level and I couldn't pass pre-algebra. And I went to my local community college and it changed my life. And it provided me the skills that I needed to be able to succeed long term. So when I first started in the Senate, we were dead last in the nation in per pupil spending, K-12 public education. 8,900 per student. Today, we're at 24,000 per student. We have just passed, thanks to the leaders and the Speaker and the Assembly who led this effort, $10 billion in a public education bond to be able to modernize our schools. We're the first state in the nation to be able to offer free breakfast and lunch to every student. We know that students can't learn when they have a hungry tummy. We are investing $1.5 billion in after-school programming, and we have this historic compact with the UC and CSU system increasing enrollment and increasing to a high over the last 30 years, more funds than what we've seen in the last 3 decades into the CSU and UC system. We know that we can't have a successful economy here in the Golden State without ensuring that the UC and CSU is thriving. Am I right? My goodness. And what we also know is we have to make college more affordable and accessible. And that's why we've been so focused. 50% of CSU and UC students now are going tuition free in the state of California. We need to continue to increase that. But we also have to focus on affordability in the state of California. And Democrats need to lead with that. We have an affordability bill package that we've advanced on driving down the cost of utility bills across the state of California, building more affordable housing and workforce housing, making it easier to be able to build and help keep renters in the homes that they love. We are focused also on workforce and a large investment in career pathways, a pathway to the middle class. We are focusing on cap and trade, which is our nation-leading climate program that has driven down the cost of utility bills by $14 billion over the last 10 years. It's built 27,000 new units over the last decade of housing, and it's been focused on creating 30,000 new jobs, which is absolutely critical. We have to drive down the cost of insurance as well, which is why you're seeing the Senate lead in bringing forward an insurance stability program, which is absolutely critical. We have to make California more wildfire safe. We've gone from 6,700 full-time CAL FIRE firefighters now to 12,000 CAL FIRE firefighters. We need to continue to invest in our response system, but we also have to focus obviously on all issues of mitigation. $1.5 billion will be invested in the next 3 to 4 years on wildfire mitigation. We have to make sure that we continue to build more housing and make housing more affordable in the state of California. And what I have found is that everybody is for housing until it's built in their neighborhood. I represent a couple of counties that have some challenges with housing. What I'm a firm believer is we have to do what's right. And what's right is building more housing in every corner of this state, in the great state of California. And we have to be laser focused on homelessness. It is unacceptable It is appalling. We need to have that laser focus. We are building more homeless housing than ever before. We need to continue to expand the number of treatment beds that we have in this state. Thank you to California voters who passed Proposition 1 a couple years back. So look, bottom line is this: making California more affordable and livable, focusing on K-12 and community colleges and CSU and UC. We need to continue to make our communities more wildfire safe. We have to stabilize the home insurance market, build more housing and homelessness, and obviously focusing on the greater Los Angeles region. And the reason why I cannot keep to 3 is, let's just be honest. We're a state of 40 million folks. There aren't just 3 issues that face our communities. There are multiple. And we have to focus on all of them and deliver for Californians. And I'm sorry I went on so damn long.
No, that's okay. But I was wondering what the Starbucks coffee was there for.
Hey, see, there we
Now I
go.
realize.
Exactly.
So I have a question for you. As you know, the University of California just had the Regents just selected a new president for our university, J.B. Milligan. And I was wondering what you would say to him in your first meeting regarding the UCs, and you know what would be your advice to him, I guess is what I'd say.
Well, first of all, I was thinking it is really exciting. I think that we got more than a fair trade. We gave Texas Elon Musk, and now we got JB coming to the state of California. So with no tariffs, I might say. So look, the new president is coming from the great state of Texas, and we couldn't be more excited. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to President Drake. President Drake has led this system. He has been a distinguished leader through some of the toughest times that this state has seen in decades. And I want to say thank you. What I would say to the incoming president is we can't ever forget the UC is a separate constitutional entity here in the state of California. The UC generates about $82 billion every year in economic impact and innovation. It is the best university system, not just in America, but across the planet. And I think we need to continue to harness UC's genius. And Rich, I'm not just saying this because you are here. You have made it your life's mission to be able to spur innovation within the UC system. And I just want to give you some stats. 300,000 students, 4 inventions per day coming out of the UC system. That changes the world and solves some of the rarest diseases on the planet. 10 billion in research grants now every year. 1 in every 45 jobs in the state of California is created by the UC system. It is up to us to continue to invest in higher education, make higher education more accessible and affordable for all. And I firmly believe that President Milliken is going to be a fantastic addition and take us into the next generation. Can I just ask, that had to be, without spilling any tea here today, but that was a hard choice, right? Because I'm not just saying that because we are all Californians, but everyone wants to come work for the UC system. It is the gold standard that has to make you feel good, and it's big pressure for the board to be able to make this selection. Am I right?
Yeah, I think it was a very tough decision. I think I give credit to our chair of the board. I was the chair for 2 years, and then Janet Riley has become chair, and she really helped organize the committee that selected him. But I think we got the best person out there who can lead us. He comes from the University of Texas system, but before that, he also was the SUNY system in New York. And the SUNY system has 25 colleges all through the city of New York, and a very diverse group. It's within the 5 boroughs of New York. So he's had a really great experience in that, as well as the University, the Nebraska system, the New York system, the Texas system now coming here, and I'm really excited that he's here. And I know that one of the most important things he can do is develop relationships with our legislative leaders like yourself. So I know that's one of his goals, and he's excited to come out here. I guess what I would ask is one of the questions I have that we have all the time, and we're trying to figure out our solutions to it, but this is more than just education, all the federal actions that are happening. And I was wondering how you're responding to some of those. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to limit it to education. It can be all the kinds of federal actions that are going on right now.
All right, I'm going to try not to cuss. If y'all want to cuss, feel free. It's all good. Look, I know times are really tough right now. But I'm a firm believer, I'm an optimist. I'm a firm believer that it is always darkest before dawn. We're going to go through some dark times, but we're going to get through it. And I'm also a big believer, and I don't mean to sound cheesy, but I'm a firm believer that America is always worth fighting for. I believe it in my bones. And now is not a time to retreat. Now is not a time to be able to stick our head in the sand. We have to fight for this state. Fight for the progress that we all believe in, the people and the policy that we have all stood strong for. And I think it's going to take multiple paths to be able to defeat back what we're seeing from Washington. We have to fight them in the courts. That's why you saw the state of California establish a special legal fund to work with our Department of Justice. I think that we need to stop tweeting at each other, stop watching cable news, and we got to take it to the streets. When David Brooks, a conservative columnist, says that we need to look at a national strike, you know times are bad. But this is no time for apathy. Fight them in the courts. Take it to the streets. We got to boycott corporations who support eroding our democracy and taking away our rights. And I really believe that California's time to lead is right now. So, and there's a lot to fight for. Let's just talk about the UC system for a second. Thanks to Board of Regents, there's a lawsuit that's been filed to be able to protect our NIH grants, $5.1 billion from the federal government. By the way, the number one research arm in the United States of America is the UC system. Number one. Whether it's issues of public health, solving for rare disease, working with the Department of Defense, now is not the time for political interference or political agendas. That $5.1 billion turns into nearly $14 billion in economic activity in the United States of America. We're the fourth largest economy in the world, just about 14% of the entire GDP in the United States of America. All goods and services comes from the state of California. Number one in agriculture, number one for tech, number one for green energy jobs. 35 of the 50 top AI firms in the United States of America call California home. Our economy is outpacing most world economies throughout the planet. And a lot of folks can bag on California. Do we have a lot to fix? You're damn right we do. But there's a lot of good happening right now, and it centers around the UCs and the CSUs. I also think it's up to the chancellors and the president to be able to fight back, and that's exactly what they're doing against this hostile administration that's going to come after higher education. And I firmly believe that we're on the edge of fascism. Take a look at the parallels that we see with fascism in the United States of America and across the world. They're coming after free speech, the press, coming after education institutions. Those who don't agree with them will face persecution. This is not who we are as a nation. And the heart of our economy, the heart of the people and opportunity in this state, UC and CSU. So I think now is the time to get off our phones and take action. That the road to taking back the House is in the state of California. You know that they're considering, the Republicans in Washington are considering $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. Our share of that will be $15 to $20 billion. 92% of Californians have access to health care. 92%. It's all at risk, but we can stop it. And that's the piece that we have to do. We have to continue to mobilize. And I think maybe 5 years ago, folks would say that these are all conspiracy theories. But we're seeing it happen in front of our eyes. Am I right? So it's a long way of me saying it is time to get off your seat, take it to the street, and defend what we all believe in here in California.
So refreshing to hear from an elected official the comments we just heard from our Senate Pro Tem. Thank you for those. And You know, in addition to academia, you have to remember that the University of California operates 5 health centers. And so the Medicaid cuts that we're talking about are enormous for UC Davis Health, UCLA, UCSF, Irvine, and why am I'm missing one? San Diego, thank you. My hometown where I go for doctor appointments. Anyway, thank you very much. I have a last question for you, which you might, before we open it up for other questions. And, you know, most of us here know politics pretty well, and so we know that your term is coming up as a senator pretty soon. What's next for Mike McGuire?
It's a great question. Again, I'm an emotional person, and this has been the honor of a lifetime. Truly. And especially in hard times, being in a seat where you can impact positive change and help people. You know, I never thought 10 years ago that we would lose literally thousands of homes in the district that I have called home, and my son is 4th generation. Thousands upon thousands of homes. Never thought that we'd go through a global pandemic, insurance crisis, and now a hostile federal administration. That's a long way of me saying is there's a lot to do right now where I'm incredibly focused is making sure that we deliver an on-time, balanced budget, that we protect the progress and the policy that we've all worked so hard for. And we have to wait and see what's coming up here in the months and years to come. We have a 4-year-old. The best thing that's ever happened to Erica and I. Erica and I have been together 19 years, which is amazing. And she's an incredibly patient woman. And we've moved my mom in next door, which is also amazing and kind of crazy at the same time. She has a lot of cats, so dear God. And it just got awkward, so there we go. But look, I think the bottom line is I want to do the best job that I can right now in the time that I have delivering for the folks of California in the coming months and over the next 2 years, and we'll see what comes next. I think that folks can get distracted on what's next when they really should be focusing on the now. And we have a lot of fight for the now.
Well, I think I join everybody here in hoping that there is a next, and I think there will be. But we'll wait and see. And in the meantime, you're doing a great job as Senate Pro Tem. So I'm going to turn it over to Catherine Baker, and she's going to start answering the questions.
All right, great. Thank you. So before I do that, I do want to say I meant to tell a personal story. After you were a lowly senator and became pro tem, the Senate Democratic Caucus had their budget retreat here at the UC Student and Policy Center. And prior to their intensive work on that program, and I'm not giving up any state secrets here, I promise, all the senators were kind of collecting in a lobby area upstairs and getting their coffee and breakfast ready, because they're going to have several hours of hard work learning about the budget. And you would think that a pro tem would be also just enjoying coffee or meeting with members. He was walking around the room serving members their coffee and their pastry and their bread. Came up to me and said, Catherine, do you have coffee? I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't own a cat either. But he was in service to his own members. So a nice humility there. And I appreciate your kind remarks about UC. Okay, we're going to do lightning round questions. We've got about 10, 15 minutes, which is a great amount of time to have. Please raise your hand. I will come around and bring the microphone to you, and we'll be alternating in different spots. Okay. We got first question right here. I'm holding the mic. Sorry.
Thank you so much for being here today, and I love all of your remarks. You've highlighted during your speech the importance of education and all the new funding that's coming to it. However, across the state, we're seeing across campuses students being upset and believing that a lot of those funds are going to chancellors, presidents, or higher officials and aren't coming to the actual university or their professors or therapists on campus. What would you say to those students, or how would you assure students across the state that funding is coming to them, that this big budget package will get to them, and they will see the funding on their tables?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and I'm really grateful for the question. Then I'll give you a final word as well. So I'm going to do rocket round, and I'm here with Rebecca and Olivia, and if I don't answer it fully, I'm happy to have an offline conversation as well. So number one, we need to be able to get through this initial budget the budget we need to be able to deliver by June 15th. Currently, the governor is proposing a 7.95% cut for UC, CSU. I think we need to be able to restore that. That's about $400 million to the UC system. I will say, in my own backyard, we are having ongoing conversations with the California State University system. They've cut Sonoma State by $24 million. That's where I went to school. And I don't think that is going to be sustainable long term. I say that is we're going to need to work through that with the Chancellor's office, and I look forward to our continued conversations. I've heard both within the UC and CSU that funding needs to go to where the students are at in the classroom. If there are ways that I can work with you and obviously with Regent Leib, I'm more than game on that. And I think that we also need to respect the 5% over 5 years, 25% over $1 billion to the UC system and make sure that that is kept whole as well. And I firmly believe that we should defer those cuts as well. So if that happens, 7.95% equates to about $400 million, and then the 5% represents about, I think, $200 million for the UC system. That would be an additional $600 million that would go into the system that would directly support programs in the classroom level, research dollars, campus life, all aspects. Anything you want to say also on budget?
No, I think what you're saying is, we're facing it from both sides, the state side, and I'm glad to have leaders like Pro Tem McGuire trying hard to restore those cuts. And then, of course, we're really getting an existential crisis coming in from the federal government, which we haven't seen how much that is, but the amount of money that's being cut for research is truly enormous, and that's going to be something we're going to have to fight. So.
And the crazy part of this, and I'll just end it right here, and again, Rebecca's going to give you a card, Rebecca, if you don't mind, is everything we're seeing with the economic impact, it's not because of a tech bubble. It's not because we've had a housing bubble. It's because of one person. Why are we going after medical research grants? Why are we going after grants that will help diseases across this world? It's one person that is taking a wrecking ball to our economy. And so that is the existential threat to the state of California right now, whether it's Medicaid, the UC, CSU, SNAP, food benefits for the poorest of Californians. This is why we need to be able to fight back, and candidly, leadership matters. And that's why we need to be able to focus on some of these seats in California when it comes to the House of Representatives. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm not cutting off any.
You're good. No, I'm sorry.
I'm going to the next question. Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much for being here, Senator. Rachel Mueller, former Seawolf as well.
Hi,
so
damn.
Really always happy to see you. Just wanted to ask a question sort of on behalf of an initiative that I really supported and helped with last year, the Tribal Housing Grant Program, on behalf of the Northern Circle Tribal Housing Authority, as well as so many other organizations, CCRH. And when you're thinking about, and I wrote it down so I didn't blabber on, like during a difficult budget year, your leadership often has to involve making tough decisions while protecting the most vulnerable in our communities. How do you balance addressing immediate fiscal challenges with investments in long-term priorities, like you mentioned, wildfires, affordable housing for tribes, for other vulnerable communities, and education, which are so critical to California?
Thank you.
Thank you. And was honored to be able to work with the coalition last year to be able to do the set aside for tribal housing on tribal government lands. If you want to take a look at a housing crisis, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think on tribal land, it's the most acute. 6-7% of all homes approximately don't even have access to indoor plumbing. When I first got into the Senate, there was a school up in Humboldt County that wasn't even connected to the electrical grid. In now the 4th largest economy in the world. It is a righteous fight, and I want to say thank you. here's where I'm at and how we develop our priorities. We develop our priorities as a caucus. I'm a big believer of being transparent, good and bad news. I also believe that we need to empower members of the legislature. So the way we work it is we have multiple caucuses. We meet every Tuesday talking about the budget. We then have 2 major budget retreats. Another one's going to be coming up, where we're going to work with all of the Democratic members in our caucus on what the priorities are of the caucus, which will then obviously work with our budget subcommittee chairs and our budget chair, Chair Wiener. And their priorities are my priority, and we know that the senator's priorities are priorities of Californians. I also will work with Leader Jones of the Republicans, who I'm grateful to have a partnership with. Again, we got to work together right now. We may not vote the same as president, but we got to work together for California and determine where his caucus is at and what their priorities are. And that's how you'll see us release our next vision to the budget prior to June 15th. More to come on that. I'm not trying to be squishy with you, but just being very candid about how we're going to develop the priorities of the Senate Democratic Caucus. And we have Jason Cisney here, who does an amazing job on behalf of Speaker Rivas, is the budget director. At times he wants to put a pin in his eye because of a budget year like this. But they have a very similar process where they work with their members as well. I don't want to speak for Mr. Cisney, but I just want to recognize him and say thank you to the Speaker for his partnership. Thank you so much.
Terrific. We probably have time for 2. Let's see how we do lightning round. 2 more questions. Yes, you're next.
Hi, Leticia with the California Grocers Association.
Hey.
Thank you. And I appreciate that you talked about SNAP. As you know, food insecurity is a big thing for us in the grocery community, and we want to make sure that everyone's fed. Today, there's going to be a vote in the Senate Ag Committee on the federal side to decide whether or not to cut funding to SNAP, and that just kind of breaks my heart because it's going to be awful. But my question to you is, like, even if the state has to take on the responsibility of backfilling whatever cuts are done, have there been conversations about that? Because that's a huge number. I mean, 10% is just $1.2 billion that the state would have to come up with. Have there been conversations about trying to backfill or what we can do to make sure that, you know, these folks who are on these benefits don't lose them?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your work and for your words on SNAP. Just happy to go offline on this. I'm going to give you a lightning round, and I'm not trying to be rude. Please don't take it like that. I'm going to be very open and blunt. The level in which the federal government is proposing to cut California, there is no way we're going to be able to backfill all of the funds that they are proposing to cut. It will equal tens of billions of dollars. There is no way, even with the economy and the budget that we have in the state of California. So what does that mean? I believe that we're going to need to make our own budget reductions this year. We're preparing our caucus for that. Everything we add back in federal funding will mean an additional reduction in another area. We're going to need to balance that. We're going to need to work with the Speaker and the Governor on this. And I promise you there's going to be more to come. I'm a big believer that the budget is our value statement, right? And I just want to point out what's happening in Washington, D.C., and take a look at the values there. And then take a look at what California has been focusing on. More to come on this. It is devastating. All the more we need to mobilize right now in the months to come to stop this madness. And by the way, the cuts that they're looking at potentially for, we have about 6% K-12, 6% of our overall K-12 budget, federal funding. Look at the red states, Mississippi, Georgia, North and South Dakota. Huge numbers. It's not going to just devastate California. It's going to devastate the rest of this nation. And it doesn't have to be this way. So more to come on this, I promise you. And we're going to be working collaboratively with our partners, with the governor and the speaker.
All right, great. We might lightning round question asker. Yes.
Hi, good afternoon.
Nice to see you.
I know that a lot of people in this room are probably looking forward to commencement and graduation in the next few weeks. So I was wondering if you could put on your commencement speaker hat, and what advice would you give to the class of 2025?
Oh, crap.
Right on. I love that one.
I'm starting to get sweaty and stressed now. Dang. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to go back to I am an optimist. There's nowhere else where I would rather live right now in the history of this nation than California. I'm a big believer that we're going to go through some tough times. We are. There's no way to avoid it. But every time this nation goes through dark times, we do come out stronger. There's also a unifier in chief right now in Washington, D.C., and that's Donald Trump. This nation has always stepped up when evil forces have been at the door. And I'm a firm believer that the United States of America, and right here in California, they're going to do so again. I'm going to go back to what my grandma said, 3 pieces of advice that stick with me to this day. You got to work hard. Always be the hardest working person in the room. Got to work together. We're not Democrats, we're not Republicans, we're Californians and Americans first. And you never take no for an answer for the issues that you believe in and the people you work for. Am I right? It's something that I live by every day. I'm going to end it right here and say this. The highest calling in life, I firmly believe, is to be able to help others. And that's what California is all about. When times are tough, neighbors are in need, California rallies. We've done it year in and year out, decade after decade. And I'm a firm believer that we're going to continue to lead this nation in ingenuity, in innovation, in jobs, in economy, in higher education. And it's up to all of us to be able to achieve that. So thank you for that. And again, I am still sweating and very, very grateful for that as well.
Thank you, because we're almost ending on time. Thank you. Wonderful to have you here. Thank you. And we would like to see you here. If you had some budget questions today, you've got to be at our Anderson Economic Forecast on the 21st. Next week is the insurance crisis, and on May 19th is our discussion of API voter demographics. So please join us here at the center. Thank you for coming.